Thank you, moderator. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this Dental Board of California meeting. I am Dr. Ellen Felsenfeld and serve as the president of the board. Today is Thursday, October 13th, 2022. This board meeting is held via WebEx. In accordance with Government Section 11133, this meeting will be held by teleconference with no physical locations. For those who wish to participate, please log on to the WebEx website provided on the posted agenda for this meeting. Instructions to connect to the meeting are provided on the agenda. The preferred audio connection is via telephone conference and not the microphone and speakers on your computer. The phone number and access code will be provided as part of your connection to the meeting. During each call for comments from board members and speakers, we will ensure that all of the comments can be accommodated if possible before we proceed with the rest of the agenda. This is an official business meeting of the Dental Board of California. The board welcomes public comments on any items on the agenda, and it is the board's intent to ask for public comments prior to the board taking action on any agenda item. The DCA moderator will explain the process for providing public comment shortly. When called upon, the moderator will give the individual permission to unmute themselves, and they will have 2 minutes to make public comment. The moderator will audibly announce when 30 seconds remain to conclude the public comment. After the 2 minutes have lapsed, the individual will be placed back on mute. Only one public comment per agenda item is allowed per attendee. Depending on the number of people who would like to testify on a particular agenda item, a total time limit may be imposed. We ask all speakers to please stay on topic and not repeat testimony already provided. If you agree with testimony already provided, please just state your name and that you are in support of any comments previously made. I would now like to ask the DCA moderator to please explain how public comments will be taken during the meeting.
This is the moderator. To facilitate public comment today, we will be utilizing the WebEx question and answer feature. When the board president reaches a point in the agenda at which public comment is appropriate, public comment will be requested. At the board's direction, I will turn on and announce the opening of the Q&A feature. Members of the public may indicate that they would like to make a comment by either clicking on the question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of their WebEx screen or using the raise hand function. We'll have instructions on the screen each time for your reference. In the Ask field, typically in the lower right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, members of the public who wish to make a public comment will type, "I would like to make a public comment," and send to all panelists. Any other communication will not be responded to. Members of the public, it is not necessary to identify yourself in order to make public comment, and we will take comments in the order that they are received. I will call on that member of the public and ask that they unmute themselves. That member of the public will be then given 2 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning, at which at the conclusion, their microphone will then be muted, and we will move on to the next member of the public who has public comment. Please note that the Q&A feature is being only used as a means for members of the public to represent that they would like to make a verbal comment. Once you are unmuted, that member of the public may verbally state their comment. It is not a means to ask questions of the moderator or members of the board. Such inquiries submitted using this feature will not be answered. If any attendees utilize a profane name, they will not be called upon to prevent members of the public from being subjected to profane language. While you are free to express criticism or negative views, for the sake of the members of the public participating on the call, please do not use profane language when making public comments to the board. I believe that is all my instructions, and I'll pass it back over to you, Board President.
Thank you, moderator. I would like to call the meeting to order and ask the board secretary to please call the roll. Dr. Molina?
Morning. Yes, good morning. This is Dr. Molina, Secretary of the Board. Before I call roll, I would like to take a point of reference and just welcome Dr. Joni Forge, our new member of the board. And I will start the attendance with Dr. Chen.
And I, here.
Felsenfeld,
Here, Felsenfeld.
Forge,
Here.
Larin,
Lorraine here.
Mackenzie, Medina, Molina here. Morrow,
Morrow, present.
Olagi,
Olagi, present.
Pacheco,
Pacheco, present.
Thakur, and you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Molina. We also would like to welcome Dr. Thacker to the board. I don't know that you missed her accidentally, I'm sure, but and she's in her first meeting with us as well. We-
She didn't, did she respond? Because I asked for her name and I didn't hear present.
Oh,
Dr.
here.
Are you here, Dr. Thacker?
Yes, can you hear me?
We
Okay,
can.
I
Thank
can
you
hear
very
you now,
much.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. You can mute yourself now as we will mute you probably. So thank you. We now move on to agenda item number 2, public comment on items not on the agenda. Before we open public comment on matters not on the agenda, I would like to remind individuals making comments to not discuss pending complaints, pending licensing applications, or pending disciplinary actions that may later come before the board for a decision. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications, as they could provide information to the board members that is outside of the record, in violation of the Administrative Procedure Act. Such discussions could create a conflict and lead to a board decision being challenged in Superior Court. Accordingly, if an individual makes comments on a pending disciplinary matter, the individual will be interrupted. The board can, of course, receive comments regarding board processes in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific case circumstances where the decision is still pending. In addition, public comments should address the board as a whole and not individual members. Please be aware that public comment during this agenda item should provide information to the board members, but it is not a discussion between the board members and the public. The only action board members can take right now is to listen to comments and decide whether they would like a future agenda item or not. Though this may seem at times like the board members are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensure that the rules of the Open Meeting Act are followed to avoid compromising the speaker's goals or the board's mission. In the interest of time, as we have done in the past, we would like to request that public comments not repeat statements made by a prior commenter. If you are in support of a statement made by a prior individual and your comments have already been made, just please state your name if you wish, or association, and your support for the previous comment. Legislative hearings regularly use this process. It is a good way to ensure that we can hear from everyone today. Are there any public comments this morning? DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public comment.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment for items not on the agenda, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants can use the raise hand by pressing *3 on their device. I'll go ahead and pause a moment to allow the public time to access the Q&A panel and submit their requests. Right, this is the moderator. Seeing no requests for public comment, would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please. And thank you. We will now move on to agenda item number 3, that is recessing the open session. This time, the board will recess our open session and convene in closed session. At the conclusion of closed session, the board will return to open session to report on actions taken during closed session regarding the executive officer appointment. At this time, would we please clear the room of anybody that is not supposed to be? At this time, the board will reconvene an open session. We're moving on to item 8 on the agenda, the president's report on actions taken during closed session regarding the EO executive officer appointment. The board voted to appoint an executive officer pending the approval of the director of the Department of Consumer Affairs. An announcement regarding this person will be made after this approval is received. Are there any public comments? DCA moderator, please facilitate the line for public comment.
This is the moderator. One moment. I need to get host role back from Tara before I can access any of the features.
Okay. I don't have to repeat that, though. You're not hosting, but that has been out there if anyone's listening. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I just need my my powers back.
All right, you guys set it up.
There we are. Okay.
All right, moderator. All right, once again, you want to ask if there's public comment.
Right, and there we are. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon that is located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. I'll pause a moment for any members of the public who are currently on the line to access those features. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you, moderator. Thank you, board staff, and thank you, members of the board, for the work we've done today. It's an important day. That concludes the October 13th, 2022 Dental Board meeting. This meeting is adjourned.